Extreme wide shot. A vast Arctic landscape, completely white and gray, no trees, no color, nothing moving. A small cluster of colorful wooden houses sits at the edge of a frozen bay. Mountains rise behind them, covered in permanent snow. The sky is a pale, washed-out gray. Then a title card appears, quiet and simple. Longyearbyen, Svalbard, 78 degrees north, the northernmost town on Earth. There's a town so far north that the sun disappears for 4 months every year. A place where polar bears outnumber people, and every person leaving the town boundary is legally required to carry a rifle. A place where the permafrost is so deep and so permanent that when people are buried here, their bodies do not decompose. They freeze and stay frozen, perfectly preserved, sometimes for decades. Because of that, at some point, the local government made a decision that sounds impossible until you hear the reasoning behind it. They banned dying here. Not metaphorically. If you are terminally ill, if you are old and your body is beginning to fail, you are required to leave, to go somewhere else to die. Longyearbyen does not allow permanent burial. The permafrost beneath the ground will keep you there, unchanged, indefinitely. And so the town made a choice. Only the living are permitted to stay. The question that follows you through every street of this place, through every conversation with the people who chose to remain, is a simple one. What kind of person decides to live in a town where even death requires a departure? Drone shots slowly rising above Longyearbyen, revealing the full scale of the Arctic landscape. Frozen fjord, dark mountains, vast white snowfields, a sky that seems too large and too empty. The town below looks small, deliberate, slightly defiant. Svalbard is a Norwegian archipelago sitting in the Arctic Ocean, roughly halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole. It is not the kind of place that geography produces accidentally. It is the kind of place that geography produces as a warning. The islands were first formally documented by Dutch explorer Willem Barents in 1596, though Norse sailors almost certainly knew of them earlier. For centuries after their discovery, Svalbard was not a place people lived. It was a place people came to take things from. Whales first, then coal, and then left. The whaling industry arrived in the early 1600s and was so aggressive that within a century, the bowhead whale population around Svalbard had been effectively destroyed. The whalers moved on. The coal miners came next in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and they stayed longer. They built camps, then structures, then something that began to resemble a town. Longyearbyen, the town's name, comes from John Monroe Longyear, an American businessman who established a coal mining operation here in 1906. He did not intend to build a community. He intended to extract coal and leave. But the workers needed somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, somewhere to be. And so slowly, without anyone really planning it, a permanent settlement formed at 78 degrees north latitude in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Today, roughly 2,400 people live here. They come from over 50 different countries, and almost none of them were born here, because being born here, like dying here, carries its own complications in a place where nature has never fully agreed to human presence. Chapter 1. The darkness lapse of the sky above Longyearbyen. Noon, and the horizon glows a faint deep blue, but the sun never rises. The light lasts perhaps 2 hours, a cold purple twilight, before darkness returns completely. Inside a house, a lamp burns in a window. Between late October and mid-February, the sun does not rise above the horizon in Longyearbyen. not once. This period is called the polar night, and understanding it from the outside, from a place where the sun rises and sets every single day, is genuinely difficult. It is not just darkness in the way that night is darkness. It is an absence, a removal. The sky during polar night carries a faint blue glow at midday, like the memory of light rather than light itself. And then even that fades, and there is nothing. People here speak about the polar night carefully. Some say it is peaceful, that the darkness forces a kind of stillness, a slowing down, that they have come to appreciate. Others admit more quietly that the first winter is always the hardest, that there are days when the body simply does not understand why the light has not come, that something deep and biological resists, even when the mind has accepted it. The town compensates in small ways. The buildings here are painted in deep, saturated colors: red, yellow, blue, orange. Colors that exist nowhere else in the landscape and serve a purpose beyond aesthetics. In the dark months, those colors become landmarks, points of warmth in an otherwise monochrome world. Chapter 2: The Polar Bear Problem. A researcher walking along the edge of town, rifles slung over one shoulder, scanning the snowfield ahead. A warning sign at the edge of the settlement. A polar bear silhouette, simple and stark. Fresh tracks in the snow leading toward the perimeter. There are approximately 3,000 polar bears in the Svalbard archipelago. There are roughly 2,400 people in Longyearbyen. The bears are not confined to remote areas. They move through the landscape freely, including areas near and occasionally within the town boundaries. This is not a theoretical risk. Polar bears have killed people in Svalbard, and so the law here is unambiguous. Anyone leaving the established boundaries of the settlement must carry a firearm capable of stopping a polar bear. This is not a recommendation. It is a legal requirement. For the people who live here, this becomes routine in a way that is difficult to explain to outsiders. Researchers, hikers, school teachers on field trips, all of them move through the landscape with rifles. Children learn early that the wilderness here is not a backdrop. It is an active, present force that requires constant awareness. Nature in Svalbard does not wait at a distance. It is always close. Chapter 3: The People Who Choose This. A scientist in a research station, surrounded by equipment and data printouts, looking out a frost-covered window at the dark landscape. A young couple walking along the main street, faces partially covered against the cold, laughing at something. A bartender in a small, warm pub, the kind of warmth that only exists in contrast to extreme cold outside. The people who come to Longyearbyen are not running from something, at least not most of them. They are running towards something, though many of them struggle to name exactly what that is. Some are researchers, drawn by the unique scientific conditions of the Arctic. Svalbard hosts scientists from dozens of countries studying glaciers, permafrost, atmospheric conditions, wildlife. The data gathered here is irreplaceable, and the people gathering it understand that. They stay because the work requires it, and because eventually the place itself becomes the reason. Others come for simpler reasons: adventure, or a change, or a desire to live somewhere that demands something of them. And they stay because Longyearbyen does something to people that is hard to predict and harder to reverse. It reduces life to its essentials. There is no distraction here in the way cities offer distraction. There is cold and darkness, and the work of being present in an extreme environment. And for a certain kind of person, that reduction feels not like deprivation, but like clarity. The aurora borealis moving slowly across a completely black sky above the silent white mountains. Below, the colored lights of Longyearbyen reflected faintly in the frozen fjord. A single person standing outside in the cold, looking up. Still. Not cold looking. Just present.